Thomas, I'd be happy to get on another call with you as well. So,
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
There are some,
Good reminder. Thank you.
I'd be happy to get on calls with all of you one-on-one, or the team will, right? There are a couple few little nuances, and really I should say qualifying questions to ask the customer. And I'll look, I want to keep this short because Chris said 5 to 10 minutes. So, right. So, I'm on the invite. I guess you guys, or Chris, you can share my information. Jason also knows how to get a hold of us, but
hey, if there's interest, we can go 15 or 20 because this is pretty cool. It's pretty unique, right?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you the other one. So, when I say soft launch, we're really only working with, 4 of your counterparts in the Teleris family. But this, the one gal, the one out on the East Coast, Chris, I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about. So she was saying, Joel, I was talking to her last night. She said, Joel, like, what am I going to make on this? I don't understand what I'm going to make. And in her case, she's got a real estate developer with 50 locations, and the guy wants this charger and he wants the fast charger. And she was thinking she was going to make, $2,500 on the sale. I said, no, Denise, no. On the upfront sale on the charging station, which remember is 0 out-of-pocket expense to the customer, even at this size. So you're looking at anywhere between $35,000 and $40,000 per location, 50 locations. So she was, between $1.5 million and $2 million of upfront commission just on the charging stations, and only 50 locations. Right. And then on top of it, she'll see their quarterly payments on the ad revenue, but she'll see almost another, what was that number? 50 locations. I want to say like another $100,000 a quarter for 5 years on the advertising revenue. So, and that doesn't cut into the customer. That's the part we're paying you guys. So, the customer still gets their big chunk, right? And this is what I love. Like this was the exciting thing that happened today is when that partner said, well, yeah, and now that funds these other 5 projects that I've been talking to you about, right? And now you can buy this other stuff. Right? I mean, how many of you run into customers say, well, it's not in the budget this year? Well, how about if we make budget for it, and now you can buy it?
Who pays for the electricity on the at this charging station? Is it connected to the grid of the customers on the customer's electrical bill?
Great question, and I will show you those financials right here. So, right, just so we're completely upfront, no misunderstanding. There is no residual on the charging station alone. It's just a hardware sale. Right? Unless they've got that advertising component is the key to the residual. But to Chris's question, it is the customer's electric bill, right? So in a typical charge, right? And I'm happy to get into the specific nuances with all you one-on-one or a smaller group, or whenever we've got more time. But in a typical charge, you're probably looking at about $12 to charge up a car, right? If you're at the grocery store, you're at a Sam's or Costco or something like that. And so the breakdown is Loop, who's actually the manufacturer of the charger, they take a 10% clip of that $12, and actually Loop is the one dispersing the electricity funds. So at $12, you're looking at $1.20. Well, guess what? The other $10.80, this is about the breakdown here. So on that $12 charge, you've got about $4 in electricity cost, which leaves $6.63 straight to your customer's bottom line, pure profit to the customer. So, and the customer can actually determine, so it's saying 35 cents per kilowatt hour. That's like saying, yeah, I think I want to charge only $3 a gallon for the gas, right? They actually get to set the price on what they want to charge it for. And this is a pretty good representative example of what, per cost kilowatt hour charge might be for your customer. But again, happy to get into specifics, whether we need to do it one-on-one with you guys or other groups. So,
hey, Joel.
Hey, Joe, quick question on the electricity. Does the customer have to get, I've heard stories where you're going to have to up the amperage and maybe add additional circuits and breakers and stuff. But do they help with all of that and assessing that?
Absolutely. So
because we don't know that.
Sure. No, I get it. Right. And I didn't know it either. So let me pop up another thing that I did. Right. Let me see. Here's this one here. Right. So I'll put this in a PDF and share this as well. But this is kind of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with swim lane diagrams, but customer, you guys, us, and Loop, all along the way from identifying the opportunity to closing the deal. The site is, live construction. So the customer doesn't have to worry about any of that. We've got a, through Loop. There's a Loop installation partner who is several of them actually, nationwide coverage, electrical contractor. They pull permits. They'll actually come out and do a site walk and say, okay, so here's your panel, right? You've got this much power coming in. We can install X number of chargers based on what's coming into your panel, right? If you need to increase the power, right, then now that obviously costs a little bit more, but they'll tell you, like, this is what's available in your panel today, and what we can install charger wise. So one of the things I learned is that, in dealing with the kind of the soft launch was, right, let's not go out there and just try and sell them the biggest, fastest, baddest charger. That doesn't make a lot of sense, because, they may not have the power coming into the panel to support it. For example, let me go down to the fast chargers here. And I apologize, these are not in great order, but so this is the DC fast charger, right? 50 kilowatts, 75 kilowatts, and then the next one is 100 to 150 kilowatts. At 150 kilowatts, you need 600 amps just for this one charger. So, you got to look at the, don't go just throughout, the biggest, baddest, fastest charger they got, right? Because they might not have the power to support it. So, once you got a customer that's really interested, then that's when we'll get, the electrical engineer to go out and do a site walk, and they'll actually take pictures and, look at the panel and coordinate with the end customer to say, all right, here's what we're looking at. And, then they'll give us actual site specific construction costs. This all gets rolled into the financing, and, right. And again, this thing is a cash flow positive proposition day one. So
There was a, let's see here. There was a question in the chat about regulatory issues. Is there any concerns around regulatory?
no concerns around the regulatory side. So those of you that don't know me, probably most of you, my background is actually in tax and regulatory compliance. So, the reason I put this company together and launched the platform that we've got is looking at, I won't say names, but I'll say looking at unregistered telecom providers and how do we help them. So, looking at the PUC requirements, looking at state tax laws, I've been doing that for the last decade. So, we have not run into any of the issues. I'll tell you, the only thing we have run into, which is really kind of a neat one, but there are a couple cities out there. The only I think of off the top of my head is Scottsdale, but Scottsdale, Arizona actually has an ordinance on signage. So you actually have to get a permit for the signage. But the advertising guys are actually helping with that and kind of walking everybody through that process as well. So
what's I think we've had a conversation around what is a example of a location that is not ideal versus, what are the top 3 locations, profiles that are great prospects?
I'll tell you what, the not ideal, the easiest one would be single family residential. The only way any of us are going to make any money on single family residential is if you're taking this to the home builder, and the home builder buys it to put it in all those stations, right? Put them in all those homes. Otherwise, stay away from the single family residential. The flip side of the coin is these are locations that are prime hot locations for EV charging and programmatic digital advertising. So I'm going to combine these 2 decks and get this out to you guys. It's been a lot. I mean, the couple of these, of your counterparts that we're already working with, I mean, they're sending over, it's amazing. She sent one and it turned into 50. And then the other gal with the 50, she sent another one and turned into 600 locations with the grocery store chain. So, right. So what we're seeing is like, let's do a pilot at one. And then when it goes well, they see that they're actually cash flow positive, then let us buy some more. I'm happy to sell you more. So, gas stations are great one. Truck stops are good. We actually did one for a proposal for the YMCA, right? Not all of them, but just a couple. YMCA got really good traffic on the charging and the ad revenue. So, airports could be a little tough.
On there.
Yeah, hotels. I mean, there's I was telling Chris about a hotel chain that signed, I don't know, just a couple weeks ago. And unfortunately, this wasn't our deal. I would have loved for it to have been. but it was 5,000 locations. And this hotel, between the electricity revenue and the advertising, 5,000 locations, $40 a day per location, 200 grand a day, $6 million a month, $72 million a year back to the hotel chain.
Holy cow.
Right. Plus $100 million in tax credits from federal and state governments for putting these, alternative fuel sources in for vehicles.
So to clarify, so the hardware expense for the charger, say with the digital signage, is that being covered by the infrastructure bill? I mean, where's that money coming from if the customer's not paying for it?
So what we're doing is we finance these deals, right? But knowing what they'll charge, and I'll tell you, like when we gave estimates, I did one for the one in Philly, the other one you and I talked about, Chris. I had a discussion with her today, and the customer said, "Well, how conservative are these numbers?" I said, "Well, I showed her the figures, and we based the forecast on one charge per day, and that was it. Like
Wow.
one single charge per day, not and this is going into a 15-story multifamily condominium high rise. One charge per day, that's pretty low, right? Especially people living there. So
Hey, Joel, quick question on that. So how do you make it so somebody doesn't just sit there all day and take up that charging station? Is there a way that you can control that?
Absolutely. Great question, Jason. So Loop actually has a feature built into the charging station that's called their idle fee. And so, if you're the owner of the charging station, whether it's, any of these types of properties that are on the slide, then, right, you can actually set this idle fee, right? Because you don't want somebody parking their car, charging it, and then, leaving it there, like, let's say at the airport, right? It's there for 3 days. You don't want that. So you can actually set this idle fee, right? It's the site host. Sometimes what your record is referred to. It's their discretion on what they want to charge on the idle fee. Maybe it's $1 an hour. Maybe it's $5 an hour, right? Something to get them to go move their car off the charging station so others can use it. Another really interesting thing here about these is that, what has happened now in each of the site walks we've done is they've actually priced out the construction work such that instead of this gas station group that we're dealing with, they want to start with 20 chargers at each location, but they're actually going to wire the locations for 50 chargers. So they're going to make ready for 50, and of course, the sales partner is very excited about that because she's like, oh great, well I can come back next year and sell them another 15, and the year after that sell them another 15, and that's just her plan, but they'll buy them as they need it, and of course, you guys get paid on that as well. So does that answer that question, Jason?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
And-
What's the ballpark range of these? I heard you say $30,000-$40,000 a unit, roughly. I mean,
Sure.
Is there
Yep.
a ballpark? Is between 20 and 50, or?
Well, let me come back to these. So this is a good one. So this is for Europe.
I've already
So-
got a customer that's interested right now. I've just been texting him, so.
So this is the EU unit. We're not going to deal with that. That's for Europe. This is the Flex Lite. That's for, you can see here, single family residential. So the Flex is right around $2,000. The Fleet is right around, I think it was hang on one second. I think I've got a slide up here. 1 second. Just 1 second. I'll tell you what that one is on the Flex or the Fleet. I'm sorry. The Fleet is just over 3,000, like 3,000, under 3,100 for the Fleet, right? But then you get into these
That's
fast
without
chargers.
sort of the power build out and all that other stuff.
That's without
right?
that, right,
There
right.
may be, yeah. But
So-
let's just say, hey, that's another $1,000. So you guys will take, well, they'll take that $4,000 and make it a monthly cost to the
Sure.
customer.
Now, there's
Okay.
also another interesting program that's coming now. And is this for everybody? No, but you're going to have some customers that need, that this could be a fit for the national. Sorry, I can't spell today. Electric vehicle infrastructure program. There you go. So this NEVI program here, this is actually just the one for the state of Minnesota. So this is why I was saying the Biden administration, they passed in this NEVI program $5 billion to the states. Well, you know, Texas, for example, they got 407 million. Well, that 407 million is not for, it's not for the state to build out the chargers. It's for the state to pay folks like, you know, your customers to build them out. You know, the state's saying where you got to build them, and you bid on the spots, but that'll go to pay to 80%, right? That'll pay for 80% of the total construction, permitting, hardware cost of putting the station in, on top of all the tax credits. So, let's see if I can bring up one more thing. Well, I'll tell you, I'll leave the tax credit stuff off for now, and I can talk to you guys more of a one-on-one basis, or, you know, other groups. We're not taking up everybody's time, but
Yeah, if you can put your email address or phone number in the chat too, that'd be great. So maybe people can grab that and schedule some one-offs or something if need be. But so yeah, I think Jason, you want to elaborate on your comment in the chat around, you know, if there's no MRR commission, you know, what's the point? I mean, I think finding that, like you said, you know, finding that additional budget, that's huge to help fund other technology upgrades. And of course, I mean, there's always a risk they're going to go, no, I'll just keep that money and put it in my retirement account too, I guess. But
it changes the conversation, because before it was always, hey, let's take a look at your bills and see what we could save you. And then now the conversations are focusing around, you know, Tim, the expense management piece that looks at everything that you have rather than just a couple single bills. But now it's not, hey, let's see how we can save you money. It's, hey, how can we make you more money? How can we generate revenue for you that you can utilize elsewhere? You know, if you want to expand the business, or if you want to look at cybersecurity initiatives, you know, cloud migration, something that they put on hold because they're scared of, because the other economic impacts that are going on around them right now that they can't control. So this is a very unique solution that I mean, as soon as this is probably the biggest solution that we've introduced to partners that just skyrocketed in demand. And Joel, I know we've had numerous conversations on this one. Like, you know, hey, have you seen anything that just went like this crazy? And no, we haven't. I mean, this is before, like, when it was just an idea and we started introducing partners, they already had customers lined up asking, when can they get this installed?
I'll tell you what was really interesting is, you know, as you all know, right, you go look at your pipelines and you see, right, here's my pipeline. And as much as we all love to see your entire pipeline close, right, the pipeline with just the 3 partners, really, well, 4, but 3 are really active. So, I mean, right now the pipeline is over $300 million in chargers and advertising boards. Like, and you know, back to that comment is like, well, you never close 100% of your pipeline. Well, my rebuttal to that, you know, the guy that said that to me said, well, this is only 3 of how many thousand partners does Polaris have? So, you know, this is a tremendous opportunity. And again, like, you know, I'll just tell you what it is. Like, it's, you know, we're paying out 5% of the cost of the hardware sale. So, you know, so let's say it's 200 million in hardware, and you know, the construction is a construction, right? We're not a contractor, so we can't take any money for that. But on 200 million, you take 5%, that's 10 million bucks, right? That's $10 million in commission that, you know, we would be thrilled to be able to disperse to
it almost
Polaris
sounds too
and
good to
onto
be
you
true,
guys.
Joel. Doesn't it? Doesn't it almost sound too good to be true?
It does, and I'll tell you, you know, Chris, I was on my monthly board call was this morning, and the board members are like, why would you sell anything else, right? Why would you work on all these other products? And, you know, and Jason, don't laugh about that, but like the board's like, why would you even look at anything? Like, focus on getting these things moved out, and you know, because, you know, I don't know if any of you saw it, but General Motors said no more electric or no more gas vehicles after 2033. GM's not going to even make a gas vehicle after 2033. Well, what is that going to do to the utilization and need of the electric vehicle charger, right? Electric vehicle charging station. It's going to drive that thing through the roof.
Yeah, Joel, if you don't mind, I just want to say one quick thing is, you know,
Sure.
talking about these numbers and the capabilities that you could bring now to, you know, revenue for your customers that would tremendously affect the pipeline. Don't forget about your sales engineer around Christmas time.
Wow, Jason.
That was pretty shameless, but I can't blame you. I don't blame you for it.
I had a question. I already forgot what it was.
So I put
Oh.
Casey's information, Chris. I put Casey's phone, name and email in the chat.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely
I
reach
don't-
out to Casey, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, reach out to
Um,
Casey first because he coordinates my schedule.
Are you seeing any reluctance to end users not wanting the advertising piece? I mean, is there any reason why people wouldn't want that? Because it doesn't really. Is there any downside to having the advertising units versus not? I mean, like the
Great.
funnel you have now, what percentage of them have the digital advertising? Because obviously that's attractive to a partner because that's the only residual commission part.
Yeah. So the great question. So there are places where the advertising doesn't make sense, right? So for example, a multifamily residential complex. Well, if the chargers are going in the basement of the parking garage, well, nobody's walking past it. So to have the expense of putting the chargers in, and then Chase and Coca-Cola and Budweiser and the Super Bowl and right, or the networks, they don't want to buy the ad space because, well, it's in a garage in a basement and nobody can see it. Right. That's the kind of thing. So when you're thinking about the advertising, you really just keep in mind how many people are going to go past it, right? If it's going to be in the basement or top floor of a parking garage where you're not going to see much traffic, that's probably not a good fit. However, you put it into you put it, like say the grocery store. Well, probably after this conversation, some of you are going to notice the charging stations in and around where you live. And I certainly did once we launched this thing, but it seems like the charging stations have as good a proximity to the store as the handicap parking does, right? So anybody walking in from the parking lot is going to walk past the handicapped and the charging station, right? And so you get those impressions on the advertising, not only from the person charging the car, but also from all the traffic walking past, right? Walking through the parking lot to go into the store. So, really just keep in mind where it's at, right? I'll give you a good example though on the digital signage. So, I'm sure you've all noticed, right? At some point you're getting gas, and you walk into the convenience store, right? And they've all got these posters in the window of, get a Coke, get a Bud Light, get a, hot dog, whatever, right? In that window. I mean, those guys are like a prime target for just the digital advertising, right? Because Coke is going to pay for that advertising, Monster is going to pay for it, Red Bull, right? Any of the brands that are sold in that store are going to pay for this advertising. Plus, it's also going to drive sales inside of the store. So, it's kind of a win-win for the gas station, if you will.
Another quick question from a technology standpoint: is there a SIM? Is there any cellular component to any of these devices? I think I saw it's hardwired to the internet, or is there any wireless component?
Yes, thanks, Chris. So, on the charging station, no, right? Working on that, maybe if there's a big enough opportunity, but at the moment, no. I mean, yes, there is a cellular component in there, but unfortunately, it's not something that the Loop guys are willing to let go of because they've got all the stations programmed, APNs are set. Some of them even have the embedded SIMs. However, on the advertising boards, I had an interesting call with Samsung and them today, and so there may be an opportunity there. I need another week or two.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Don't force it if it ain't meant to be. I mean, I think this is a good, unique offering to kind of get your foot in the door. I mean, I think Jason and I, we're mobility and IoT focused, but I almost feel like we should just redefine ourselves as just emerging technology. I mean, everything we're touching is kind of this new cutting edge stuff. We're not traditional telecom here. So, so thanks for joining us as a nice teaser. I definitely, if you want to know more, before we let Joel go, I know I literally got a hold of him last minute to join us today. Any other quick questions before we let him go and we can move on?
Did I hear you say we get paid 5% of the upfront cost of the chargers, and then there's monthly on the advertising, right?
That's correct.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I have a quick question. Joel, what has been the successful route that you found with the 4 agents? Is it them just getting you in the door and then letting you guys take over the show? What is shown to be successful so far?
Yeah, no, that's also a great question. So I was just here. Actually, let me share my screen one more time, if that's okay, Chris.
Sure. Yeah.
So I actually created this, and I want to tweak it a little bit more, but I don't mind sharing it right now, right? So kind of like customer site qualification questions. These aren't absolutes, right? But these are questions that kind of help us. Like if you can tell me the answers to these questions, I can guide you down the path exactly to what to talk to the customer about. So, right, type of business, retail dining, gym, office, leisure, multifamily residential, right? So just knowing these, that already tells me, it gives me an idea, right? What kind of parking that? Parking lot, parking garage, shared parking. How many spaces? That gives us an idea of like how many potential chargers to be put in, right? Setting aside the power panel requirements. I got to reword this, but really it's like, what is, when you've got a visitor guest, whoever's coming to this parking lot, what does their typical stay look like? So if it's a gas station, you may say 30 minutes, right? I want to get in and out as quickly as possible. Right. So they don't want to stick around very long. But if it's a movie theater, then I might, all right, in the gas station, we'll go with the fast chargers. But if it's a movie theater, maybe you can go with the fleet charger because they're going to be sitting there on the charger for 2 hours and that's okay. So, it's much less cost there. But also in the movie theater, you can put the advertising board on it to generate even more revenue. So I'll get this tweaked up and finished today. And I can share this with Chris and he can send it out or Jason. The last two questions is a new construction development. I'll tell you what, if you guys can find these and the apartments, I mean, those are easy, low hanging fruit. I talked to an apartment complex developer yesterday and he said, well, nobody's bidding on the EV charging with us. And he said, you do it? And I knew this guy from when I served in the Marines, not the Army. And he said, nobody's bidding on it. I don't know what to do. I said, well, I know what to do because they were going to just run the wiring and let the tenants hang their own chargers, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. And so I explained the whole idle time charge of that control. And so, apartments are great, but if it's new construction, right, you can get in right now. If you're early enough in the process, then the customer can say, yeah, you know what, we need to add another, 2 megawatts to the panel or, whatever that may be. Right. And then the last thing is that, if it's new construction, where are they at in the process? Because, if they're finishing up and ready to do the CO, then all right, we're not going to go back and change the panel at that point. So I'll get these cleaned up and put them and do a couple, one, two, three, four, five, six questions here. Right. But these will really help qualify it. And, if you can tell us the answers to these, then, we can tell you exactly what's the best fit and what makes the most sense for the customer.
Yeah, that's great. I would make this like a quote request format.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you can say, fill this out, get it to Casey, and he can get back with you. That way it's a bunch of back and forth, and it's hard to quote without good information. But thanks, Joel. Are there any other questions? Great. All right. Well, Joel, thank you, man. You can drop if you like,
Great.
or hang. We're just going to talk mobility and
Chris?
any other
Hey,
questions.
Chris, you can get us Joel's information, correct?
Absolutely. Well, yeah. In the chat, he put his sales guy. Joel's the CEO, so he's finding bigger new opportunities for us. But if you could contact Casey in the
Casey,
chat,
got it.
yeah, Casey's the guy that is the main contact for that. Yeah.
Hey, Joel,
Okay.
thank you for your service in the Coast Guard, man. We appreciate it.
Forget it. We're not doing any deals. No, I'm kidding. Great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys. Yeah. See you, Joel. All right. Let's see, any new names? Anyone have a pressing question you joined specifically you wanted to get addressed? Anything you might want to take point on this?
No, this is great because we've been looking at this for a while and haven't found one that allows us to make revenue. I mean, you make revenue. Who wants to make $120 a year doing it? So I'm out. So this is a good one.
Yeah, no, I thought so. Again, I'm still like pinching myself going, holy cow, man, this is pretty good. Excellent. So see, Jason, you still with us yet? Anything you want to kick off? Any observations or trends you're seeing that we could share with the attendees here today?
Yeah, starting to see fleet management pick up more. We actually have a few RFPs that are starting with some Fortune 500 companies, and they're starting to see like all the different companies come in, and especially with the fuel management piece of it, that's turning out to be huge, especially since fuel prices right now and distracted drivers. Since we're also having an issue with people always looking for a quick buck from suing somebody. So those types of drivers that are out there are not like drivers driving cars, but economic drivers. They're causing companies to look into fleet management when generally they wouldn't previously, because it wasn't a cost effective solution for them. They just saw it as a cost center. So seeing that one a lot, and then obviously the asset tracking, especially with construction companies, because copper is not just the only thing that's being at the 5-finger discount right now. They're also looking at like wood and high end equipment, those types of things. So the asset tracking and the fleet management is starting to pick up quite a bit across the board.
Yeah. And just a reminder, obviously Spirion is signed with us recently, and they're finishing onboarding, and you'll probably start seeing them at some of our events, but they do pretty much all that, right, Jason? There's nothing they don't do in that space for the most part. The outward facing camera, the cab facing camera, cameras in the cargo area, tracking the trailers, idle time. I mean, that going back to cost of fuel, think about it, even landscaping companies. Apparently I didn't even realize this was an issue, but a lot of landscaping companies just while they're cutting the grass at the customer, they leave the car running, the truck running. So when they get in there, it's cold, it's cool. Kind of can't blame them, but hey, if you're a landscaper, then that kind of comes with the turf. You're going to be out in the elements. Costs a lot of money to run that. Not only that, I know in some states it's against the law to idle a long time because it's a lot of emissions is bad for the environment, kind of thing. So interesting there. Is there any solutions out there that you are coming across that we don't have in our portfolio? Does anyone have anything you're looking for, any immediate needs, whether it be mobility or IoT?
That wasn't for me, right? That was for everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jason's
Just
like,
making sure.
I don't know, Chris. I was kind of hoping you would tell me. But be mindful as you're out there looking.
I actually have something on that, Chris.
I was, what? I figured you would. I was going to call on you. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I've been trying to find Wi-Fi based sensors, really of any variety. And the only success I found is in the home-based security solutions, which were fine, but they're not ideal. Just wondering if there's any additional information on specifically Wi-Fi sensors. It really doesn't matter what they sense right now, because we're kind of building a test network, trying to do a network load test for a specific product, but I've been struggling.
So a sensor that is not LoRa, but Wi-Fi, and not Bluetooth, but Wi-Fi.
Yeah, anything that runs on Wi-Fi that would be considered IoT. Cameras right now are really the only thing that's really got a large market, which is fine, but anything else out there would be great too.
Have you specifically asked like Epic or Ready Wireless or?
We've talked to Ready. I haven't reached out to Epic.
Yeah, I mean, I Epic, I would think they seem to be just doing everything right now in almost every category. So
yeah, I'd say Epic, Modus, and Fortify, because Modus has access to my devices, and Fortify has access to a few of the industry leaders as well. So between all the different platforms that they use under the hood, I don't want to say guarantee, but I'm highly confident that they have a Wi-Fi sensor solution. Yeah,
I'll keep digging. Nothing jumps out on me because generally that's is there a reason why? Because oftentimes from a security aspect, you unless it's a unique, is it a exclusive Wi-Fi network just for the sensors, or is it also like a different channel or whatnot?
Yeah, Wi-Fi? We're building we're testing the Olive network, so we're looking for a Wi-Fi network and a CBRS backbone for a specific use case that Steve's working on.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, we'll dig into that, and I think I recommend, like Jason said, touch base with Epic or Modus.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to Epic, and I don't know why I haven't reached out to the Fortify guys yet. I'm not kicking myself in the butt for not thinking of them.
Hey,
but I'll do that.
There's a lot out there. There's a lot of static out there. That's kind of why I like these calls and these little touch bases, because Jason and I were on a call earlier with Global Gig, and they're like, hey, we haven't heard much from you guys. I'm like, well, we have 350 suppliers, and if you're not knocking on our door or getting in front of us, we hey, you kind of slide back some. Global Gig, has a lot of great connectivity options, especially, international globing data sims, and private LTE networks. They can stand up private CBRS type networks for campuses. Like they always like to say, anywhere that has a gate that does this and lets vehicles come and go is probably a good candidate for a private network, and Global Gig can do that as well.
Global Gig, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We might have to talk something a little bit more about what they offer.
Yeah. Mr. Casarella, how are you? I ain't seen you in a while, man.
I'm good. I'm here. I'm sitting here in HQ with Stacia. We're just hammering away, she's got that big order with AT&T and collecting all this T-Mobile and trying to educate people on T-Mobile internet. It's fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you can share with us under like 2 or 3 minutes of updates from T-Mobile, spiffs or incentives, or
yeah.
promos that we could talk about?
Yeah, this one is huge. I like this one. I don't know why people are not jumping on it. 50 lines at $650. If I was a salesman, you go in and you start knocking on the doors, try to give yourself a 55 cushion. That's $13 a line, but then each additional line after 50 is only $10 a line. So why not go to these hospitals and be like, hey, how many lines are you paying for? Well, we're paying for this. And I know for a fact, when I worked in the retail store, companies will give anywhere from $40 to $70 for people to have their own personal account and pay for it. Why doesn't this company just be like, hey, we're paying for the lines? And then if the company's like, well, we want to give them phones, be like, okay, well, there's no phone promotions for these. They could use their phones. And if you get a little bit more pushback, be like, well, do you guys pay for gas for their cars? Well, yeah, we give them a stipend and all that. Do you guys pay for their cars? No. Well, then why not this? Now Janet could get she could go to the Apple store and buy her own 256 gig phone in the pink color, and all you have to do is give them a SIM card or activate the eSIM in their additional phone. So the hospital could be like, hey, we want 1,000 lines. We want this plan. And they just tell their employees like, hey, here you go. It's T-Mobile. Do you have an eSIM in there? Then we'll activate the eSIM, and then you could have your own personal. But that's not bad, man. I mean, that's
and the eSIM is over-the-air activation, right? There's no physical SIM. If you get the IMEI number, I think they can provision it over the air.
Correct. And with that, you are absolutely right. So it's embedded already in the phone. The reason why it's not really popular in the US is because we cross, in other countries, you cross a country like you're crossing a state. So when you go to Spain and all that, you would see, if you're ever in there, you'd see a tourist or somebody take a SIM card out, put another one in, take another one out, put another one in. So this is really cool. It's just an embedded SIM. They could activate it. There's no promotion on the phones, but guys, I mean, it's like $11 a line, and it's unlimited, as many lines as they want. Just give yourself a cushion, because once it drops to below 50, it's not good. I do want you guys to know, on this unlimited, the $50 unlimited, it is amazing. They're getting there, but I just got word today that when you order, get the Inseego FX200, because that has a static IP. Now, I just found out there's two Inseegos. There's the one you could buy yourself, but there's the one that T-Mobile could provide. The one that T-Mobile could provide, you do not get the Inseego cloud, and you cannot add an antenna to their Inseego routers that they give you. Now, when I say give you, that means you could use it, but once you cancel, you have to return their routers. Otherwise, you will get a $370 charge. So pretty much, if you got small business, just $50 unlimited. It's good for kiosk. It's good for small, coffee places. It's going to cover a few grounds, but hit me up. Let me know. Don't forget, you have to be onboarded and coded with T-Mobile to work with them. So if we have anybody that's not, let's just get it out of the way, man. Get the onboarding done. And remember, it might seem like a pain in the butt, but T-Mobile gives you a dedicated channel account manager that's on their payroll, not your payroll. You have me and Stacia to help out, but you have your own dedicated manager. They will pull in a T-Mobile engineer to get down to where if your customer's like, no, it says 5G Ultra, it's screaming pink where I live. You guys could go to your CAM and engineer and they'll say, hey, based on what the device they want to use, based on where the tower is, and based on the building material, this is what they're going to get until the towers start opening up more spectrum, which they are still shutting down all the Sprint spectrum to open up more for the 5G. And the other thing is T-Mobile is guaranteed price lock. All the other carriers are raising their prices up. So a lot of your customers that have Verizon or T-Mobile, when they're a big account and they're going up about $12 a line, that's a lot of cheese, man, that they don't want to pay. Come on over to, you know, have us give them a quote, and let's bring that down, because Verizon's adding $2 economic charges. So I think, is that it? Is that my 3 minutes of stand up?
Yeah.
Am I done?
That was
You
a
gotta
lot,
call me?
man.
Did
That
you
was
flash
good.
the
No.
light?
So,
You guys
so if
call
someone
me,
has
email
not,
me, I'll help out.
yeah. So if someone's not been officially mobility onboarded with Telarus, can they just email wireless@telarus.com to get that going, or what's the best way to get onboarded?
So to get onboarded, just so you guys know, I have no problem giving y'all quotes. But once you're onboarded, I have to send you a new sub agent application. Trust me, they are trimming it down. T-Mobile is aware of it.
This is not a Telarus thing. This is T-Mobile thing, right?
This
It's
is
requirement.
T-Mobile. It's funny because I get a lot of partners are calling me and asking me to help them through the application. And I'm like, I don't know your business, but let me tell you the reason why they want to get to know you guys. Once you're onboarded and once you're coded, inside the T-Mobile portal, where you have access to all their resources, how to register an opportunity, quoting, all the promotions, you even get the logos. Right now, if you're showing a T-Mobile logo and you're not coded, they will ask me to ask my partner to pull the code off until they're pull the logo off, because they have updated code logos and everything that they'll let you use. Now, the reason why I'm going back to them wanting to know you, this is huge, and I've seen it work twice so far. Inside the PRM, the portal, they give you almost like your own LinkedIn page. So hear me out. They show you this once you're vetted and they're training you. They will say, put photos, put videos, put very detailed, specific information and how to connect with you in this portal. Because if a direct rep from T-Mobile has 100 lines, and next thing you know, his customer says, I need SIM cards for refrigeration, then the direct rep will find in that area of his customer who has refrigeration and who is good in it. And if it happens to be one of our partners and they put everything in there, they're going to reach out to your channel account manager, be like, hey, how is John Doe? Is he pretty legit? I see that he puts in a lot of numbers and he does refrigeration. And then of course, you know, your relation with the CAM, they'll introduce you. And then now you have a sale that was just kind of pitched to you, because they're do a one sale motion. You do not have to worry about the direct team stealing money from your pie or taking money from their pie if you work together.
That's interesting.
So this internal thing is really cool. So if you specialize in security cameras or something in Cincinnati and that's you, or that's just, you'll do it nationwide, that direct channel member will, for T-Mobile, will pull you up and be like, hey, in Cincinnati, I have John Doe. And then John Doe happens to be with Telarus now.
It's
Boom.
kind of like a lead
So-
sharing program. As long as they need to know who you are, know what you're specializing in, and they need that
Yeah.
profile filled out.
So if you hear the groans and all that, yes, T-Mobile has one extra step. You just have to have a vetting call, but this is why they want to know you. They want people that want to sell T-Mobile who will get in there, but they will help you. They have a government team. You have a channel. You have people working for you that are not on your payroll, bottom line, and they're all inside people. It's awesome. And
cool.
as you guys know, anything 5G has a T-Mobile logo on it for wireless internet. They're owning it. They did it right. So let me know. I'm here. I'm
Thanks.
Casarella at Telarus, or just send it to the mobility box and just, you know, put in the opportunity, you know, T-Mobile, and they'll come into my lap.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So wireless@telarus.com. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Man, that went quick. Thanks for joining as always. Any other last questions or concerns or suggestions? in our last 2 minutes. Well, if you haven't followed the podcast, I'm adding some new good content around different suppliers, different technologies. So a little selfless plug. I swear I'm not making any money on this unless you guys start to sell more and more to IoT. Then Telarus would appreciate that. I appreciate it. But the wireless way, check that out if you haven't lately. There's some good stuff we added recently. I got some more coming, but yeah, we only have 2 more academies left this year in September and October, Denver and Houston respectively. But if you want one other best practice, and we'll steal this from Brian, he and his company kind of got me thinking on this, be thinking about, can you pull together a group, go to the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club, or find a group of professionals and say, hey, can I get in and maybe host a bagels and business and bagels or something, and myself and Jason, or we could bring Modus, and we could bring some supplier, T-Mobile rep, the channel manager will come, or Verizon or AT&T, whoever we want, and the supplier will help fund these things. We get in front of 10, 15, 20, 30 end users, and this is how you could kick up some good business. You're educating them, you're giving them a free education on emerging technologies, treat them to breakfast, and take the registration list. You can follow up with them all, and I'm telling you, it's working. We're seeing it working. So anything I can do personally, and Jason, we would love to jump in on that, and we'll get the suppliers in place to help fund it. And it's just another way to be competitive in your market, in your region. So have a great afternoon. We're at the hour. Email me or Jason, or your local SPDM or PDM, or your regional SEs. And I appreciate you. You have a great afternoon, and we'll wrap it up. And Thomas, I'll send out the recording probably by tomorrow morning to the group here, and for those that couldn't make it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
See you.